Welcome and thank you for attending my talk. I believe GeeCON is more or less Java-focused conference, right? Am I right? It's like around this topic, JVM. So I'm completely out of this world. I'm not a Java developer nor JVM developer or anything like that. I started my career as a .NET developer, so I don't even know if you like them. But anyway, then I shifted to virtual and augmented reality, and I tried to evangelize these technologies. And this talk, XR Demystified, was conceived because I've noticed that many of my colleagues, my peers, my friends, they still kind of, when they are tech savvy, they don't believe that we are progressing in that matter anywhere. Like the technology, augmented reality or virtual reality is progressing anywhere. So I'm like, okay, I'm in this business actually since 2017, meaning augmented and virtual reality. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not true. And let me create a talk about that so that I would go there to the world and start evangelizing a little bit more about these technologies, because I can see there's a lot of confusion and like not understanding of the topic, how we're progressing with that. So, why it's not running? Okay, now it's running. Sorry for that, it was paused. Anyway, so my name is Rafał Legiędź, and I'm an XR development lead at the company called Transition Technologies PSC. I work in Łódź. And also I run my own conference, DevConf. Maybe you know DevConf. Anyone knows DevConf? It was actually for several years here in Multikino as well, but we moved to Łódź in 2022, post-pandemic. And also I'm a mixed reality MVP from Microsoft. If you want to ask me any questions, please use the Slido service that is being used here, or drop me an email. So, as I said, I keep seeing a lot of confusion around the topic of augmented virtual reality, metaverse, you name it. And so this talk is aimed to kind of get everything in order, or maybe try to get everything in order so that the understanding would be better. So, first things first, there are a lot of descriptions out there on the internet, in the media, regarding these technologies. Like some of the companies call it virtual reality. Some of them use the name of like spatial computing, like Apple most recently. Some of them use the term mixed reality or mirror world, you name it. Whenever there is a big company that is entering that particular business, VR, AR business on the market, they try to distinguish themselves, and they usually create some new term that is describing the very same thing, actually. That's why we have at least these on the market that are functioning. And sometimes, as I can see when I'm talking with my friends or peers or colleagues or clients, we sometimes talk about the very same thing, but I'm referring to something as augmented reality, and someone is referencing the very same thing, calling it metaverse, for example. And I'm not surprised, because that's what's out there. So what I would like to say is that there should be, or there actually is, but it's not used very commonly, one umbrella term for all of that, meaning XR, or extended reality, that would be divided in only two things. Either we have augmented reality or virtual reality. There is actually nothing apart of that. There might be different names, but we have these kind of two experiences, where augmented reality would be something that enhances our reality, so we see everything that we can see with our bare eyes, and on top of that, we have some digital content overlaid, or rendered, and our world could be enhanced. Also, it could be experience on the commonly used devices. We do not need some kind of fancy headsets for experiencing augmented reality because it's already available on our smartphones. Almost every single smartphone right now being used is capable of delivering an augmented reality experience. And also it allows us to interact with virtual objects rendered in our real life in real time. On the other hand, we have virtual reality experience, and these experiences are, or maybe before I will go further here. How many of you have ever experienced anything in augmented reality? Like be it on the phone or on the glasses? Okay, so quite a few of you. How many of you experience virtual reality? Okay, that's more. Okay, so with virtual reality, we usually require specialized hardware because we need to fully immerse the user, because we have to move that user to the fully artificial world and kind of trick the user senses so that that user is kind of somewhere else. So that's a different story. But as you can see here, we either create the world or we enhance the real world. That's it. We don't need any more definitions of that. And based on that, if we have the ground definitions, I would like to present you how does the timeline of the evolution of the hardware look like for the last 10 years, so that you know what's out there and how we got here where we are right now. And I'm starting this timeline in 2014. And it's not that there was no augmented or virtual reality experiences before that, because there were. We did have like old VR headsets. Even Nintendo in the 90s, they released a virtual reality headset called Virtual Boy. Whoever tried Virtual Boy? Nintendo? No, no one. And there were some software solutions that we could incorporate on any device that that had the camera, but that's not the case. Why I'm dividing it before 2014 and after 2014 was that after 2014, which was the year of when Google released Google Glasses, before that there was no velocity on that market. I mean, something was happening here and there, some researches were done here and there, but post 2014, everything kind of sped up. So let's begin with 2014. Anyone remembers the hype that was around Google Glass? Oh yeah, there are people old enough to remember that. Okay, so if you remember that, there was even this really cool video when they were releasing that. The guy was jumping on a parachute. I don't know if you remember that. And he was wearing the glasses, and then he was landing on that parachute on the tall building, and then I think he then started riding a bike downstairs, and then he jumped on that bike on the stage where the release or announcement of the Google Glass was, and that was awesome. And the hype was real. Right? I mean, everyone was like excited about this, that will change the market right now and how we interact with digital content and everything will change. But if you remember what happened was that it didn't click, right? The hardware wasn't there back then. The experience was poor because the only thing we saw was basically simple graphics in front of one of our eyes, and society was kind of not there as well, because not that long after the release, when people started wearing that, there was even this term coined, glass hole. Not sure if you heard about that, for people that wear Google glasses in public, right? Because it was like people didn't know that, okay, if they're recording us or not, etc. The funny thing is, in my opinion, that during the 10 years that passed from the Google Glass release, something changed in the society, meaning that we're not that afraid of the cameras in the public space. I'm far from saying that it's good or it's not good. But right now, it's like we have TikTok, we have Instagram, etc., and we don't even know when someone is recording us or not. And we're kind of okay with that. I mean, generally, society, right? And so back then, that was like a no-go. Okay, there's no camera in the public space. I don't know if you're recording me or not. No, okay? In my opinion, it changed. Then, 2016, Microsoft released HoloLens, the very first version. Does anyone know this device? One person. Okay, quite a few. That's good. Okay, that was a wonderful device, and this one was actually the one that you were able to deliver a proper enterprise software that actually solved some problems. And that's how I started, for example. I started delivering software for this device since 2017. And what was that? That was basically a headset, an augmented reality headset, and it wasn't occluding your view because that was an optical see-through device. So even if it was like turned off or you didn't have any app running, you still see the word. You still were able to see the word. So then if you turn it on, you had some extra stuff rendered on top of your real world. And that's how we created apps. So we could enhance some machineries on the factory floor, or we could render guides on the warehouse floor as well, or display instructions on top of some kind of appliances. And also, what Microsoft did here was that the device actually ran on Windows 10. So that was a familiar system. We were able to use familiar tools for creating the software. So it was very easy to adapt to the business. And also, something that I forgot to add at the very beginning was that I'm only mentioning here devices that were kind of mainstream. I'm not mentioning every single VR or AR experience or hardware that was out there during that period of time, because that would be way too much. I'm only gonna show you the ones that were actually in use, that I know that were used in the business to like a bigger extent than just proof of concepts or just some experiments. This device was really good and delivered the value. Mainly for business. It wasn't targeted to regular consumer at all because of the basically price range, which was $3,500. Then 2016 also brought us PlayStation VR. Who used it? Quite a few, but not that many as HoloLens 1, which is weird because that was a huge success. I think that was one of the first VR headsets that was actually proper mainstream, because they sold like millions of copies of that to PlayStation 4 Pro users. And it had quite a good selection of games. And that was a VR headset. Then in 2017, something happened that not many people are actually aware of. Microsoft released Windows mixed reality headsets. Anyone heard about it? Yeah, I think so, like maybe 2 people. The thing was that there were only just virtual reality headsets. But one thing actually changed here. Microsoft incorporated technology from HoloLens to virtual reality headsets. Basically, these headsets, I mean, they were like fully occluding your view, pure virtual reality headset. But the difference between these headsets and other virtual reality headsets that were available up until this point was that they didn't require external trackers. Not sure if you remember old like Vive headset or Oculus Rift headset. They usually required some kind of satellites here and there, and you had to calibrate yourself in reference to these satellites so that they can track you and your movement. So the external points were there for like tracking the movement of hands and head. And that was a big deal because you had to first set up the room where you were experiencing the virtual reality content. With that, it changed because they removed the external sensors. The headset had cameras starting from Windows mixed reality headsets, and you didn't have to calibrate in reference to anything external. So that was a big change, but that kind of went unnoticed. Then 2017 also brought us the very first version of Apple ARDK, which is a software library, framework, you name it, that allows to create augmented reality experiences for phones and tablets running iOS. And that was a kind of a big shift as well, because beginning with that, all of a sudden, millions of users out there in the world started to have augmented reality devices with them. And there were developers that were able to use that. Then 2017 also brought us something a little bit different. A RealWear company from States introduced HMT1 headset, which was a very a simpler way of delivering augmented reality. They used to, they keep using the name assisted reality for that. But the difference was that it's merely a display that we have in front of your eyes that displays the video stream from the camera that is somewhere here. And what you could do programmatically is basically to program that video stream and to add content on top of that screen. The change that it brought was that it was that we could actually implement some augmented reality within very specific places of work. Then 2018 brought us the startup called Magic Leap. Anyone heard about it? Okay, so that was a headset created by the startup at the very beginning, and that was a very similar thing to HoloLens 1. It actually delivered a very similar experience, just with a little twist, because the whole computing power was removed from the headset to the external kind of computing unit, and you kept it in the pocket, and you had a cable running from the headset to the pocket, and that's it. And it was optical, see-through, and that's pretty much it. But the very first version had some disadvantages because it was running like some very specific operation system, and that was the difference, for example, between this and HoloLens, because the development process for this headset wasn't that obvious, and you had to learn like newer things. Then 2018 brought us Google AR Core, which is the very similar thing as Apple ARKit, but for Android devices. So basically a software package that allows us to deliver augmented reality experiences for the phones running Android. 2019, big thing, Microsoft released a second generation of HoloLens. Anyone try that? One person. Okay, that was a big deal because that was a proper upgrade somehow, because they broke some things and they improved the other things. So it wasn't that all beautiful. But anyway, that was an optical see-through that has a better computing power, better displays, and the visor that you had here, you could flip it up so that whenever you don't want to use it, you just flip it up and you could just perform your work without that. Very handy, deployed in many places, and some of the companies, some of the clients I work with, still use it up until right now, because Microsoft actually didn't release any other newer headset after that. Then, a huge change in the market. Like, in my opinion, one of the biggest ones that happened during that period of time was when Meta released Oculus Quest 1. Anyone use this? First one? Okay, that's what I thought. Big thing because this is that was the headset that didn't the virtual reality headset that didn't require the powerful PC to run the games. That's an Android device, and it's standalone. So everything you need is on the headset. It incorporates inside-out tracking, the thing that I mentioned before. The headset tracks itself and your controllers. The picture here depicts a person without the controllers, because what Meta did with Oculus Quest was the approach is, okay, they release the headset and they have a very strict operation system upgrade schedule, or like new version schedule. Meaning, they release the headset, and then every second month they have like a new system upgrade, and with basically every system upgrade they unlock new features only using software. So, for example, when Oculus Quest 1 was released, not that long after the release, they unlocked hand tracking just by upgrading the software on the system, and they keep doing this up until right now. Then, 1 year after, that's also something that didn't happen before on that market, that some company would release new hardware in such a short period of time. Sure, that's very common on the smartphone market, because every single year we see new Samsung Galaxy, new iPhones, or new Google Pixels. But on the AR and VR market, that wasn't that obvious. But what Meta did, they quickly refreshed Quest with Quest 2, which was and still is up until right now a wonderful device. And actually, if anyone asks me which VR headset would be like a starting point if you want to start doing work in VR or entertainment in VR, basically Quest 2 is a go-to device. It's better than Quest 1. It's cheap right now, and it has a very good selection of games and apps right now. Okay, 2021, Meta, one more time. They partnered with Ray-Ban, and they started delivering glasses with cameras. So it's a similar approach that Google Glass did. Anyone heard about it? Ray-Ban Stories, that was the first version. Okay, that's nothing like augmented reality glasses. They do not have display of any sort, but they have cameras, they have speakers, so that you can start with your headset, with the glasses, you can actually record stories to Instagram and Facebook, and like use it without using your phone, like capturing. But the interesting thing is, and that's my observation, that I think Meta is not trying to get into problems that, like hardware problems that Microsoft got into with releasing HoloLens, because HoloLens is a very complicated device. The hardware issues that you have to solve to deliver standalone headset with optical see-through visor, and that is lightweight, and you are able to use it in various environments, it's very hard. And we already know that. So I think what Meta is doing is they're approaching that problem from two different angles. One angle would be creating a VR headset that is becoming lighter, smaller, and they are adding, because in beginning with Quest 2, they added the augmented reality feature to it. Namely, you can enter the mixed reality mode by simply like enabling the video pass-through for the cameras so that you can see your environment. So we can switch from augmented to virtual reality experiences in that headset. So that they're approaching this problem from this angle, And then, on the other hand, they're starting to put technology like cameras and speakers and AI into regular glasses. So my guess here is that they will try to converge at some point. Then Meta again, as you can see, I mean, they started in 2018, and basically every single year they're coming up with new hardware, which is huge on that market. So Meta Quest Pro. Anyone use this? One person. That was, I think they tried to do a big thing out of this because of the name Pro, I guess. They actually put some extra features, like hardware features, into that headset, but I don't see it's being used out there very commonly. First, because of the price, 1,700 euros. And then because of the bulkiness, it's not that lightweight. But there are a few interesting things here. First would be eye tracking, so actually you can point things with using your eyeballs. And the other very important thing is that they put, if you noticed here, the controllers didn't have any kind of round things around them, because they do not need to be tracked by the headset. What they did, they put 2 cameras on every controller as well, and a pretty good Snapdragon inside all of them. And the controllers can track themselves. So the headset doesn't need to track the controllers. So actually, when you do movements like this, you don't need to, like the system doesn't need to interpolate the movements, but rather the controllers track themselves. So it's less work for the headset, for the main computing unit, and better quality of the movements. Then 2022 brought us a wonderful headset from Magic Leap. I mentioned the Magic Leap 1 first. The same startup, they actually managed to get good funding, and they released the very second version of the headset, which is, in my opinion, a very good HoloLens alternative, and it's being used, and I'm using it for 2 projects right now. Very good for enterprise. If you would like to deliver an augmented reality experience for an enterprise, that's a very good device with very good support from Magic Leap, and it just runs pure Android, so it's kind of easy to incorporate. Then 2023, Meta again. They released Meta Quest 3. Anyone has it? Anyone used it? One person of there, 2 people? Okay. So that's just another iteration, but what they did, for example, here is they introduced a color mixed reality mode, meaning you can enter that augmented reality view, video pass-through, but now it's in color, because in Quest 2 it was only black and white experimentally. 2023 also brought us PlayStation VR 2, but I think they're kind of late to the game with that update, because as you can see on the picture, it's bulky, it doesn't even have speakers, and like the controllers are, like no one does controllers like that right now. And you still need PlayStation 5 to actually use it. So if you compare it to all of that I've just shown you, it's just, I think it's pretty late to the game. And then 2024, of course, probably every one of you have seen the hype on the internet. Apple invented augmented reality and virtual reality by releasing Apple VisionPro. You heard about it? How many people heard about it? I guess it was very hard to not to hear about it, because the amount of videos on TikTok and Instagram was very large, and like we could see all the strange things that people were doing while wearing the headset. Okay, I mean everyone, at least in my part of the world, where we are delivering experiences for virtual and augmented reality, or XR, we were waiting for this because, well, it's Apple. So we kind of were expecting that, okay, they're going to come up with something that wouldn't have all the issues that the predecessor has. That probably they're late into the game, but when they would deliver this, it would be good, and we would, from day one, we would just deliver experiences for that for every client. Well, we couldn't be more wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love this device. I got myself one. If anyone would like to try it, just come in after the session, and I can show it to you. But it's a wonderful thing, but it's heavy. It does have an external battery. It just doesn't run without the battery. And one thing that it actually eliminates it from being used by other people, especially on the factory floor or in the warehouse or you name it, is that whenever you pull off the headset, you usually grab it like this. But what they did is they use magnets to attach this. So whenever you pull off your headset, you can do this. And the headset goes down, which is a very big design flaw, which is, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, that's a wonderful device still. It's also very expensive and only available in States so far. So we'll see how it goes. Anyone tried VisionPro? Not yet. Okay. So today is the day. So to sum this up, in my opinion, if you would like to try, jump on this bandwagon and start delivering or playing with the technology, these are the options, the most viable options in my opinion. Quest 3, because it's the best quality to money, to the value can bring. iPhones, because they have LiDAR sensor. I'm not saying that because I'm an Apple fanboy, but there's no other smartphone out there that has this kind of quality when it comes to tracking the environment tracking because of the LiDAR sensor. I'm not that familiar with Android devices too, but I don't think they have this kind of sensor on any of Android devices. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone?
I think there were, for calculating, for example, distances.
There were like time of flight sensors or like special depth sensors, but they do not have anything like LiDAR that I think. I don't follow like the newest ones, so I might be wrong, but up to my knowledge is that iPhones beginning iPhone 12 Pro, they have the best tracking ability when it comes to smartphones, and also iPads Pro. Magic Leap 2, because, well, when it comes to augmented reality headset with optical see-through visor, it also has like the best quality to price ratio. And VisionPro, it's maybe not cheap, but it's Apple, so knowing them and their ecosystem and you know, the amount of developers, etc., it might be worth exploring because that's something that I think could be in the future easier to deploy within organizations. Because organizations, they already know Apple products. It's easier to sell Apple product to a client, to an organization, because it's a known company, I mean vendor, rather than some headset from some startup, for example, right? Or some companies might be more willing towards incorporating Apple products than Meta products, for example, right? Because, I don't know, privacy issues, etc. I mean, some companies might have issues with Meta products, but they might not have issues with Apple products. When it comes to prices, it looks like this. So, as you can see, that's the cheapest option. And actually, you can run augmented and virtual reality on that, and this is something that actually, from all of that, if you'd like to start creating, developing anything, Quest 3 is the best option. If you would ask me, what am I using? I just use all of them. I mean, it's very hard to actually get a desk that fits all of that. Okay, I have 15 minutes left. So I'm gonna go here through common misconceptions, like questions that I'm being asked, or what I can see on the internet, in the media, that people are trying to understand augmented or virtual reality, and they claim that something is not there, or we're done with this technology. We won't come up with anything more than that. So I'm just gonna go through common misconceptions and try to explain you why they are misconceptions. They are only for gaming. Well, you might think that because of all the VR headsets and how Meta is, for example, advertising it, or also like adult content, yes, entertainment, adult content, sure, but a very big portion of the market is industrial. And me and my team, we're on a daily basis developing experiences for actual businesses that solves actual problems and deliver value. So this, for example, is part of the application that we deliver for the shipyard in Croatia. And that's for scanning the pipings and measuring distances and angles, and capturing relative positions, and then exporting that to CAD systems so that there's less work, less scrap, and everything is digitalized from the very beginning. And that runs on Magic Leap 2. So you have everything on your head. You don't have to use phone or tablet. You just use the controller, and that's it. Other thing, that runs on HoloLens 2, also for the shipyard industry. It's for laser welding. So the problem to be solved here was we have two sheets of metal, and we need to weld it somehow. And with laser welding, you have to know what speed and what angle you have to move your hand to weld properly, right? So what we did was kind of a guide for welding, for welders. So that's good for like welders that are new to the job, so that you don't have to have a person that is explaining that to them, but rather you can give them a headset and you will have all the guides there that actually show how properly weld two sheets of metal. So as you can see, that could be easily used for trainings, because we augment things and just show how to do stuff properly.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Because it's super shaky, this pop-up.
That's just the video. It's not like that.
Okay.
Capturing a video, usually whenever we capture the video from the headsets, the quality is lower because some of the computing power of the headset goes into capturing the content. So the overall quality of the software usually goes down because of that.
It would hurt eyes.
Yeah, it's usually when you're capturing the content. It's with the welding gun not being turned on, but as you can see, you enter the configuration that you want, and then it shows you how to progress. Another misconception: they cause motion sickness in everyone. That's usually the very first question I get. Like, does this headset cause motion sickness? Well, they will in some people, but it's not the matter of the headset. It's rather the matter of how the software is being done, because you have to follow some guidelines. You have to have like 60 FPS or some other stuff. So in that period of time, since we have the headsets, there are more and more guidelines and experience out there on the market on how to create this kind of experiences so that you do not have motion sickness. If you remember, or if you try the very early experiences on VR, for example, on first Oculus Rift DK2, there was like this roller coaster experience. Anyone is familiar with that? Yes. I was like, I think 800 by 600 per eye, and you had to stand or sit and then you had the roller coaster experience. And like that caused motion sickness almost like immediately, right? Right now, it's not the case. First, we know as developers that not everything could be translated to VR. So there are less and less experiences like that. And also there are some tricks that, cause less motion sickness when, for example, moving within VR. A simple trick would be whenever you're moving, or like using the controller to move, you, for example, narrow the field of view, and for at that point, the brain isn't that sick of that motion. Okay, AR and VR are the same. Well, you probably know that already, that they are not. Augmented reality is when we augment the physical space. So this is, for example, one of the experience out there for Magic Leap 2. So as you can see, you can be in several people in the same room and discuss some digital thing. So we can see each other, we can communicate with each other, but then you can see something which is extra in front of you. On the other hand, virtual reality is something where you are fully immersed in an artificial environment. Who knows which game is that? Half-Life Alyx, exactly. Are you still waiting for Half-Life 3? Who is waiting for Half-Life 3? There you go, some people. Yeah, that was unexpected that they will release that. Whoever tried this game? It's already, I think, 4 years old, and it's one of the best VR games out there. I truly recommend that. Unfortunately, you can't run it on the Quest because there is no like a standalone version for Quest for that. But if you get Quest 3, for example, or 2, you can stream from your computer, like wirelessly stream from your computer that game to the headset, and you can experience that. But you have to have Steam on your PC, and then pair your Oculus Quest with that, and then stream the game. They're too expensive. Well, they are not, because you can get a brand new Quest 2, which is still a good device, for 250 euro, which is, well, less than a smartphone right now. There are isolating technologies. Well, they are not also. Where VR is isolating, of course, because it kind of tricks your senses and you don't know what is going on out there. And it actually, if you tried virtual reality and you were fully immersed within that experience, when someone, for example, touched you from the outside world, your brain is kind of freaked out because you don't know what's going on, because there is some touch from nowhere. But it changes. So for example, Quest devices, they have this feature of like switching on the mixed reality view, so that with one tab or two taps to the headset, you can turn on cameras and all of a sudden you see your surroundings. Or for example, the cool feature from VisionPro is that whenever you are in a VR world and you turn into the person that is next to you and that person talks to you, that person kind of appears in that VR world. So it's not that isolating. Okay, I have 7 minutes. They have reached their full potential. That's a very, very good question, and they haven't reached that potential yet. That's an excerpt from one of the presentations of the guy called Karl Gutak, and he is usually analyzing very thoroughly every single headset that is being released, and he created this design challenges checklist for the headsets, and he claims it's like trying to create a perfect headset right now is like playing n-dimensional chess. Whenever you're trying to get down with the cost, you have to deal with some other issues, right? If you try to make the field of view larger, then, for example, your cost will go higher, etc., etc. So these are like the most common issues to be solved, and when we will solve them, then we will be closer to delivering like a better and better mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality headsets. We're still not there. Some of them that are no longer here with us on that list were solved during that 10 years period that I was mentioning, but still we have some other issues out there. For example, inside-out tracking, that technology that removed the external trackers for us. That was a case back then, like 7 years ago. It's no longer with us. They require a lot of space. They do not, because of the thing that I've just mentioned. Inside-out tracking, outside-in tracking. So it used to be like we have to have something external to track us. Right now it's like our headset tracks us. So we do not need some extra setup. Even now, it's like with Quest 3, whenever you put it on, it kind of detects where the floor is and where obstacles are, and it creates this play space area for you automatically. Or you can override it and create it manually. It's just fat. It's just, you know, an attempt to create a hype. Well, maybe, but if you would look at the numbers, especially before Christmas 2023, there was a spike with Quest 3 sales. So I think it's getting more and more into the mainstream, and people are more and more aware of that. The news I read yesterday is that Meta made a deal with Lufthansa, and as of this summer, for some of the flights on the business class, they will give Quest 3 for the passengers to relax during the flights. There will be a selection of apps like meditation apps or entertainment apps or like virtual theater apps, so that people in business class could just wear the headset for the flight and just enjoy some other entertainment. So it's getting more and more mainstream. And think about it, what a smart move is that. Like, you're putting your headsets onto the heads of business people in business class on Lufthansa. It's quite a smart move. How to get started? Well, I assume we are all developers, and you might be wondering how to get started with all of that instead of just, for example, using it for entertainment. Well, it's very easy. If you're familiar with Unity, it's okay. If not, it's very easy to grasp framework. It's free. You can just download that environment and start creating apps in C#, unfortunately, I guess. But still, it's easy to get started. There is plenty of tutorials out there. There's whole Unity Learn page with all the paths to follow to gain all kind of expertise in Unity. There are also already attempts to create some kind of standard so that you create code once and then run it on different various devices without changing a lot. It's called AR Foundation. So it's actually you program against that API and then just run it on other devices, and it works pretty well. Then from Microsoft, we have MRTK, Mixed Reality Toolkit, which allows us to quickly create virtual reality and augmented reality interfaces, UI interfaces, for the head-worn devices. So everything is free, and you can just find it on the internet and get started. I have 2 minutes left, and that's the time for questions and answers. I'm going to check the Slido page. Okay. I'm going to go for the questions that I have on Slido then. First question is, what about Oculus from 2013, first Rift edition? Yes. That's a good question. I think it was out there, but it didn't create that hype. The Vive was there as well, but it's like, that was not it. I mean, that's my opinion. That's as simple as that, right? People who knew, they knew, right? It wasn't that hyped as the other ones. Magic Leap 1 looks like Splinter Cell game series. Sure, yes. Yes, have you tried Unity Muse or Spectre, these AI features to create these words for AR? Well, I'm trying to get my Unity Muse is one of these attempts to incorporate AI into the Unity environment so that creating worlds is easier. So I have it in my pipeline. I'm still trying to get my head around using Copilot for development. I have some hard time using it, so I'm not that hyper optimistic regarding these AI features anymore. So I'm not like eager to try it. Maybe I'll try it someday. Maybe I won't. But right now it's like I have mixed feelings, I would say. Is AR and VR related only to glasses? No, it's not. It's also related to usually smartphones and tablets. And actually, whenever we are delivering something, it's usually like we deliver something for the smartphones and some headset. The smartphone being the main device because it's like easier to get, people know it already or people have it already, and then the headset version is an extension to the smartphone one. Are X-Real glasses worth buying? That's a good question. If I would have to answer X-Real, if I would answer that, it's one of these glasses that are out there. There are some videos. It's some company from China, and you don't know because you don't see them anywhere. You have some videos on the internet. You don't know what's the experience. The support from these companies is usually not that good. So based on that experience, I'm usually, and the companies I deal with, we're not usually exploring these Chinese products, to be honest, because of the basically the support, the contact. It's not there. I mean, it's easy to generate some kind of marketing video and put it on the internet and say, hey, we have just released augmented reality glasses. But then to start actually incorporating that, well, you need details and you need support and you need roadmaps and you have to know how to get it to Europe, etc., etc. It's not the case with X-Real. Yes, if that technology is being used with a combination with AI to, for example, help people with disabilities, yes. So most recently I was at one of the trade shows in Germany when they had the headset without the any kind of screen, because that was for blind people, but you wear that headset and that headset had like multiple touching things on your head, and based on the sensor data that was around that headset, whenever you were approaching something, that was generating like touches on your head. So whenever you were approaching a wall in front of you, it was touching you here. When you turned around, it was touching you here, so that the blind person knew where the obstacle is. And whenever you were approaching a person, not an object, but a person, the face was detected, the touch was different. It was like raindrops, so that you knew that it's not a wall, but that the face was detected and that's an actual person. That was a pretty cool experience, to be honest. And I actually like closed my eyes and was trying to move with that headset, and that was pretty wild, to be honest. So yes, it is being used with combination with AI. And I think that Ray-Ban with Meta, they released the second version of their glasses, and I think they're incorporating AI there as well, so that you have cameras, you have AI, so you can look at things, and then that AI can tell you what you're looking at. And also, I think that's a news I read today. Maybe I'll show it. I think, has anyone watched the Google I/O yesterday? They showed this Project Astra glasses, right? Maybe I'll just show it if I know how to do it. That'll be the last thing. Okay. Whoops. This is similar to what Meta is doing. glasses part. Okay. Can I have sound? So you have some kind of AI assistant and just simple glasses, and that AI assistant can tell you stuff.
To make this system faster.
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
All right, give me a band name for this duo.
Golden Stripes.
Nice. Thanks, Gemini.
So I guess we're gonna see more and more experiences like that. Okay, how do I disable that now?
At Google,
I lost my cursor. Okay, that was pretty much it, I guess. Any questions right now? Yep. So if you would like to talk, just find me somewhere out there if you want to try VisionPro as well. And thank you very much.